It seems like the world of supposed unity around Nugeen's mama, Min Hee-jin, and her treachery and her minions and co-conspirators is fracturing. There is chaos in that cookie kingdom. And it really begs this advanced level question for the Jezebel Institute of Treachery. What happens when you need the people that you throw under the bus? See, when you normally throw people under the bus, you may think that, oh, I don't need them again. And it definitely looked like Nugeen's mama was willing to throw other girl groups, competing girl groups within the HYBE family under the bus. But when you throw even your own Nugeen's girls under the bus, you still need them to get back up, dust themselves off, and do their cow dance again for money or some advertising contracts. And Roadkill, usually when they survive like that, they're not too happy that they were used. So the only solution in that type of situation is to win and win big, to fulfill these outlandish promises that you may have given people, this rush of cash and power that come with winning that might be able to make people forget that they were used as roadkill. But if you don't win and you can't fulfill your promises, then those roadkill zombies are gonna haunt you forever. Forever. So it's quite ironic that Min Hee-jin, in her press conference, looking for sympathy, said that I'm a human too. Hanni, in her National Assembly hearing, said we should all respect each other as human beings. This whole thing about being human and human beings is just a given for most human beings, but it's not for people who operate under the whole Jezebel Institute of Treachery type of logic, is that they're not being human. They are denying their humanity, and therefore it's somewhat in a twisted way looks like really on their mind. So we have a latest development of another text message, this time on Telegram, that was released to a media outlet. And it's a bit in question, like where this Telegram message come from, especially since it's Telegram and especially if it's so personal. So people are saying like it's probably one of the uncles, the uncle that was in the text message, namely Hyein's uncle. And a lot of you have already sussed this out. Hyein, the youngest member of Nugeen's, her uncle was apparently the one that was the link for Davolink, the deal that was supposed to make him like a huge executive in the new entity that would take out Nugeen's and steal Nugeen's and ADOR from HYBE. And it looks like the faction is splintering, because why would Hyein's uncle release this to a news outlet? So Chosun Biz got an exclusive, and they are essentially looking at this piece of evidence as another data point that Min Hee-jin was engaged in tampering, that she did breach of trust, and that basically would violate all of the contracts, and definitely be another piece of evidence that would for sure cancel out any hope that she has to collect on her stock options. And again, if you're going to do this type of treachery with other people, it really does rely on a big grab of cash, money, power, cookie aisle. And if you can't deliver, then the rats are going to flee the sinking ship and try to save themselves. And it looks like that's the type of situation we're seeing beginning to really unfold right now. Hyein, it always seemed like she was a bit of the outcast. Yes, she was younger, the youngest member, so there is that age hierarchy. But even among the girls, if you look at the body language, it didn't look like it was pleasant for her. She always seems disconnected, I think, just in her personality type, but when people are saying, like, even within New Jeans there's bullying, unfortunately that's how it looks. But this deal, had gone through with Hyein's uncle now kind of top dog, that would have reformulated some of the hierarchy even within New Jeans. So there's probably even there more cracks and fissures that can grow, and we'll probably see them grow bigger with the coming days. Now, the uncle being the main conduit to Davolink played a big role, especially during this part in the timeline. We're talking about late summer, early fall, so like the August, September, that's when all of the meetings were happening with the Davolink. But at the same time, there was this campaign to really push Hanni out there in front of the bus, but really push her out there as the emblematic victim of corporate bullying within HYBE. So remember in September, we had this so-called anonymous fan file a bullying, labor dispute, labor violation claim on behalf of New Jeans. So in Korea, I guess you can do that. Like you don't even work at the company. You're not even connected with the company. You can even be anonymous, and then you can just report to the labor board that something's going on in that company. I don't think most claims like that are given much attention, because if that were the case, that docket would be full every single second. I mean, right now, I would love to test this out in Korea and be like, going down the street to all the, corporate, filing this, filing that, filing this, file. So it was a little bit shady. It basically looked very orchestrated, and not everybody can really do this. And if you do this, then it requires a lot of teamwork, pre-planning behind the scenes, which essentially means that from this evidence, we can see that it makes more sense that New Jeans' mama was orchestrating behind the scenes, knew what was going on, and had a heavy hand in the situation. So this message, though, it's not 100% cut or dry in the sense of she did what specific action she did, but it is very obvious that she knew what was going on and was willing to talk to the New Jeans' uncle about it. And essentially it was about the labor ministry filing, that anonymous person that filed on behalf of New Jeans saying that there was bullying going on. I don't know, were they there? But in any case, they filed it. And then the uncle messaged New Jeans' mama saying the labor ministry is in motion. So you cannot it does let people think that, okay, there's something there to investigate, we should investigate more. But that on its own, this reporter actually was very careful about presenting it, saying even in the Korean, it's not extremely clear whether it meant that it's in motion because I, as the uncle, put it in motion, or New Jeans' mama put it in motion, or whether totally just separate, like observing the weather, somebody did this for us and it's in motion. Let's use the wind to fill our sails. So the reporter was very careful and clear about saying those are the possibilities from what we can see here. Min Hee-jin herself refuted this whole thing, says this is a fabrication. And from her perspective, she said that, look, you can even see in the message that I wasn't the one instigating, saying go call this person at the labor ministry and get this in motion. That she was saying I was just a passive recipient of this information. However, if she were a passive recipient of the information, why didn't she report it as part of her duty? So what is going on right now is a lot of spinning on her side, but her side, just to finish that up, is saying that she is just receiving this information and she had no part in it. And she said that when she responded to the reporter, because the reporter wanted to give her a portion of the story to voice her opinion, and she replied by saying, I don't even know that person at the labor ministry. And a lot of people in Korea were quick to pick up on that choice of language. It could be too much inference, but this is Korean people read between the lines and they're saying like, why did she bring up a specific person? We don't even know who that specific we didn't even know there was a person, could have just been like an online form. And so the fact that she pointed out, like, sounded like she knew who it was and how it was working, people are saying like, okay, there's definitely a lot of smoke there for this type of thing to be investigated, where she knew what was going on and she had an active part in it, and now she's just denying it, and she's denying it too specifically. If you're denying so specifically, and you don't know exactly how much the other person knows, and you assume they know a lot more, and that the situation is a lot more public, but it wasn't. So this is when her mind is probably going crazy because she has so many lines to kind of keep organized. And these are the types of slip ups. So during that time when she was talking on Telegram to the uncle said like, it's in motion, call me. And she said, oh, I'm getting an IV drip. I'll call you later this afternoon. Maybe that's how she also fortifies herself. In Korea, there's and in America, it's become a little bit more popular, the IV drips with vitamins or different things. Sometimes people use it for hangovers. That's somewhat become a little bit more popular, but that's pretty much a very standard, great thing in Korea, and really available almost without any appointment. You just walk into any neighborhood clinic, they probably have it, and then, you can get vitamin C, you can get vitamin D, multivitamins, like collagen, anything. It's great. So she was talking to him over Telegram, and then that got released. And then she even, in her rebuttal, wanted to make it public and defend herself. And she uploaded an Instagram story that showed that it was Hyein's uncle. So she spilled the beans. She spilled the entire beans to the world yet again, and she deleted it. So it's just a question of whether she did that on purpose. Is there a lot of splintering going on? Is she trying to point the finger and have people cast stones at Hyein's uncle, which I don't think is really working, because it just really now puts the focus on her. She deleted it really quickly, but Korean netizens were quick to point out that that was going on. So it looks like Hyein's uncle does not want to be another piece of roadkill, and he got up. He's now, I think, is definitely prime candidate to be one of the Walking Dead and haunt Min Hee-jin, because she doesn't look like she's going to be able to fulfill her promise. Remember, just even not even 6 months ago, Hyein's uncle was probably thinking like, oh, this is cool. I set up this thing with Davolink, and I'm going to be on the Davolink board of directors, and eventually I'm going to be the CEO of this new entity, working alongside Min Hee-jin, feeling really good about the schemation of it all. And now all of it has collapsed, and probably things aren't going well in that side of Pleasantville. Because we have to remember the main focus of what's going on. And again, it looks like it's a media play to divert attention away from the blockbuster whistleblowing that the Davolink chairman himself released not just a week and a half ago. And this really focuses on corporate tampering. Now, the weird thing about this whole Min Hee-jin situation is that the most significant portions of this story usually has been something so technical and boring and seemingly small to the general public, but is actually the smoking gun in a legal type of situation. So remember, Min Hee-jin herself was using these small technicalities behind the scenes and then creating a big hubbub. The first technicality that she was able to manipulate in the beginning, but not anymore, was her injunction. Remember, she was able to isolate her legal liability to just ADOR, and there was no evidence at the time that she was hurting ADOR, tampering with ADOR. Yes, the judge said that she's betraying HYBE, but she's not tampering ADOR, and her contract is with ADOR, and these are separate legal entities, even though they may share the same cafeteria and plumbing. And so she was able to use that, but she knew that wouldn't probably stick too much with the public, so she made a grand gesture saying that she's been absolved of guilt in a lawsuit with HYBE in terms that people could understand. But really, this is drawing a line now against tampering. Tampering essentially means that throwing a wrench, like, you can't trust your own employees. The employees are gonna sabotage and damage the company. And that's sort of like, if she gets away with this, it's like living life without any locks on your doors. Like, you try to go even 24 hours with no lock on your door and see what kind of paranoia and anxiety and looking over your shoulder. Maybe you're gonna have to hire private security instead of like fixing your roof. Like, it starts to divert resources into places that don't need to be getting resources when, just cost like $100 to fix the lock on the door. And good for you if you're in an environment where, a neighborhood or a place in the world where you don't have to have locks on your doors. But as long as they keep pumping out graduates from the Jezebel Institute of Treachery, we need to lock our doors. We need to have contracts that are good. We need to have a sense of trust in society. And this type of thing just starts to destroy and fray society, but not even fray. Like, she's taken some ribbon scissors to this. So some media reports also commented on this exclusive report, and one entertainment industry insider said it's difficult to confirm whether Min Hee-jin directly intervened in this Ministry of Employment and Labor based on this Telegram conversations that have been made public, but the fact that the uncle and Min Hee-jin discussed this complaint that could be used, that was used as an attack on ADOR, it could be grounds for violations of her contract. She has had so many different violations of her contract, and yet for her, the bar of like it being proven as of right now is so high. But I think we're going to see now this huge backlash with a lot more people coming out, giving more of the specific pieces of evidence that need to be plugged in, and then it just becomes like a done deal. And there are going to be a lot of bunny uncles over at the National Assembly still licking their wounds from the public humiliation of it all. Remember when Hanni was traipsed into there, and a lot of these bunny uncles were saying like smugly, like they were gloating, saying like, oh, there has been a lot of public heat and uproar against HYBE because of Hanni's situation. And now if they really track down the IPs, they might have to reconsider that statement, thinking like, oh, well, we got played by the bots. Imagine now, definitely as a politician, you got to make sure now, not just lock your doors, but you better check the botation of it all, because you might get played royally like this in the public. And Min Hee-jin in this situation was trying to have it both ways. She was trying to throw Hanni out there, as the sacrificial lamb, say she was bullied, and really press this narrative that does not make sense. Because if she wanted to have it both ways, then she would never have this situation be pushed so vehemently, because she was able herself in the beginning start playing this game against HYBE by saying like, I'm sorry, but I'm in my little ADOR box. You can't touch me because I'm in my ADOR box and there's no evidence that I'm harming ADOR. And yet she's trying to say that being bullied by somebody from a different company needs to warrant overall punishment. So suddenly in the Hanni situation, they're trying to make it so that everybody is working under HYBE. Okay, so in her injunction, she said like, no, we're not all working under HYBE. Well, I'm only working for ADOR. Therefore, whatever I do to HYBE doesn't matter. Now with the bullying situation, she's trying to have it the other way, saying like, well, because this other manager in a different label we're all part of the HYBE family, that means that they attacked and we're all under the legal law of one big happy company, and that shouldn't be allowed. But the labor ministry threw out Hanni's complaint, remember, saying like, not only is she not a worker that is covered under the law, which the National Assembly representatives should have known first and really said, okay, sorry, you can't bring this up because you don't even qualify under this law. Not only did they go along with it, but they threw it out because she's not part of the working class that would be protected under that law. But even if she were, and even if the claims were true, which they're not, of the manager of Islet bullying her, that's somebody from a different company totally. It's almost as if somebody from TikTok is accusing somebody from Facebook of being bullied, and then they want to then go to the labor board and say that that Facebook person can't bully me because I'm, because we're under what legal entity? They're separate companies. It's almost somebody on the street, yelling at you. That is not, there's no common thread. If there was somebody from your own family, and if it triggers some domestic violence laws or something like that, then, that starts to have like a unit. But they were very clear to separate the units. And this is why it's so ridiculous. But what we have to remember is like, that is actually not the main issue. The main issue is whether Min Hee-jin was using all of this and being actively engaged in planning, plotting, acting, directing, while she was legally bound to protect ADOR. So while she was still not only just a CEO, she couldn't leave her CEO position, but she remained on the board of directors. And at that time, we were all wondering, why is ADOR and HYBE leaving her on the board of directors? Now we know why. This is so smart, because then it extended the length of time for her legal liability to not do a thing that would hurt ADOR. And given enough time and digging, it's going to come out that she, during that time, I think until like November, she had to make sure that she did not do one thing against ADOR. But we already know in the summer, she's contacting investors. She's directing the parents to push this fake plagiarism claim. She's making these press conferences, she's bad-mouthing everybody, and she is, it looks like now, even engaged in this ruse at the National Assembly, engaged in this press conference. Remember how, like, they were all so publicly careful, saying like, well, no, we the parents, we decided on our own about this. No, we which they didn't. The Min Hee-jin wrote that thing, that's why it looked so long. The VP that was accused of sexual harassment, she wrote the statements while she was supposed to be an impartial judge on what was going on in the corporation to investigate the sexual harassment and bullying claims. Oh, she wrote it for the executive. She also is being accused, we already have the photo evidence, of meeting with Hanni before her National Assembly hearing, and were like meeting for 4 hours with her expensive lawyer, talking to Hanni about it, meeting with the setting up or at meeting with, knowing that the investor meeting was happening and actually physically going and meeting with investors. So she's already violated so many things right now. And then so now it looks even more that she may have even orchestrated the whole like setup to Hanni's red carpet for the National Assembly. So this is what people are putting their eyes on now. And it's just become very clear that there's so much fire here, so much smoke, and it really just begs the question of, when is this going to end? When are we going to finally have her just say sorry about this whole thing? But no, Hyein's mama herself contacted the reporter and said like, look, you need to delete this article. You need to apologize to me. She's the one wanting apologies. When we even had, just at the beginning of this month, that mediation offer and session with the employee, Min Hee-jin's own employee. Talk about, see, I'm telling you, roadkill. Like, you know, this is like people around her. These are not strangers coming back saying like, look, all I want is an apology. If you apologize, then we can probably start from there and like end this. And she ghosted that session. She only sent her lawyers, and then the ex-employee was just upset. She's like, see you in court. So look, there's a lot of people who have picked themselves up from under the bus, in front of the bus, wherever they are, like scattered around, and they are walking up now. Yes, they may look like a little bit zombieistic trying to get their bearings, but they are going to now hunt Min Hee-jin down like the Walking Dead. And I don't know where this show is gonna go. I mean, yes, if Walking Dead needs a different spin-off, this might be an interesting way to K-dramatize the whole Hyein's mama situation. All right, guys, what do you think? Put your comments below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.